I missed the... This is the angle, too.
Okay.
The arm looks giant.
Boom.
I'm wearing my Kinda Fit, Kinda Fat shirt. I'm
just
fully living it now.
I'm just the kind of fat part.
Kinda Fat, Kinda Fat. You should start your own line.
KF.
It's like Kinda Fat, still not fit yet.
No, man. I saw a guy last week at Sprouts, and he was wearing a shirt that said Dad Bod, except he was way too large to be rocking that. You know what I mean? Like, Dad Bod's like kind of chubby.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you should just be rocking a shirt that says obese. Diabetic. Don't ruin Dad Bod for the rest of us, dude. Like, I don't even have kids, and I try to go with that Dad Bod.
Wow.
Come on, dude. Ruining it.
That's pretty savage.
But I was talking about it with my friends, and they were like, you can't promote that kind of, like, oh, it's okay to be all overweight like this. And
You talking about me?
no, I mean, like, the public. Like, don't fat shame that guy.
Yeah.
When it's like, dude, his health is at risk.
That's what Joe Rogan says. He's not trying to fat shame, but you can't promote that. That's a healthy
It's
lifestyle.
a health shame, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Health shame. But then again, everyone gets pissed off about everything. Can't say shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get some lash about the
Oh my god,
obese
you're
guy.
against obese people.
I'll be like, I'm obese too, according to my BMI. So,
I'm also obese just because I'm short.
see? Go to the BMI metric. You're good.
I do like the Kinda Fit, Kinda Fat apparel company. I think they're doing it right. One, it's really clever and it speaks to people. Because I transitioned pretty much into a power lifter, training, diet, body, aesthetics. And it was weird for me because it's like going from like lean CrossFitter to power belly.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to operate under a new body weight. I'm trying to do pull-ups, handstands, conditioning like CrossFit. It's not easy. But then again, when like I'm still feeling really strong, being bigger, so you do feel like that kind of fit, but kind of fat. Even all the strongmen have power bellies and power lifters too. At least the top ones, you know.
I was thinking about how you said last week that the Open's in October this year, and it's usually March.
Yep. I don't know why, but still. That's
I
what
wonder
they
how.
said.
Do you think people might be entering it in better shape than usual? Because, like, I don't know, people were hitting the gym harder in the summer.
I think that's the opposite from being a gym owner, right? Like,
yeah, what do you see?
people fall off in the summertime, including ourselves.
Yeah.
And it depends on the style of gym you go to or whatnot, but everyone has travels, weddings, you name it, right? So then, like, our summer flew by real quick because it was event after event after event.
Yeah.
So it's hard to stay on top of your nutrition but usually in the Open, when it's in like end of February, March,
Yeah.
you get time to train for that.
True.
Because like,
But yeah,
even if you know it's in October, like, are people going to really stay strong towards the end of the summer, throughout the summer?
No.
You're not skipping drinks with buddies, baseball games, or
2-week vacations.
yeah, exactly, right? You're going to be like, oh, wait. So it's not like we care that much about the Open anyways, but it's just harder to stay on track with. Like, for me, once I was pretty strict with the goal, and luckily it was like 4th of July, that was the event for the 500-pound deadlift.
Yeah.
But then after
But that was like
it's been
middle
off the wall.
Yeah, it's been middle of summer. That was a middle of the summer date, so after that too, yeah, everyone felt like lower the shoulders, enjoy a little time off, but programming wise it feels like it's getting a little more intense at the gym, so that's definitely not on purpose, right?
No, I think it always feels like that. I mean, there's never been a month where everyone's like, oh, but we do train for things because we believe, DJ and I believe that there needs to be goals, you know? So we program benchmarks, like there's going to be a Cindy coming up, or like Cal Sue coming up, things like that. But we don't do what we used to, where we just throw random bigger workouts that are technically important. We train for it. So we do, you know, like enough practice sessions for those benchmarks so then people are prepared. So the programming will have variations of like thrusters or whatnot leading up to it, so then people don't just get kind of blindsided. So the programming seems crazy, but it's crazy on purpose, I guess.
I started blacking out when you said Kelsey. Remembered all over again. It's tomorrow.
I still think that's the best litmus test to if you want to be some sort of competitive exerciser like CrossFitter.
Or don't. So why do I have to do it?
Just because for our entertainment, we would like to see you. More people.
Someone said last Thursday, Kalsu's next Tuesday, and I went, "You're fucking lying." And then I went like online and looked, and I was like, "Oh, there it is," and it ruined my weekend.
It's pretty good. I think it's the best workout
So if
that
people
teaches mental toughness.
So if people don't know, it's 5 burpees every minute, and then after you do your 5 burpees, you have to do as many thrusters as you can, up to 100 thrusters.
Yeah, so you have to get to 100. So you do your 5 burpees, maybe takes you 15, 20 seconds, and with the remaining time in the minute, you probably average like 4 to 5 reps on a higher end. Because the weight's 135 pounds for guys, 95 pounds for ladies.
I did 90.
That's really, really heavy if you chose that route.
I did 95, and I did not finish.
Why I think it's the hardest workout, one of the top 3, if not, it's because of the fear it gives you, because 5 burpees comes every minute, and you kind of lose
They just
your mind.
never go away.
Because any other workout that's hard, you can stop.
Yeah.
Like Murph is hard,
Yeah.
but you can take like 10 second, 20, 30, you can take a minute off.
Yeah. You're like, another round. Here's a testament to your point. Last time, someone came up with a rep scheme. So they were like, do sets of 4 reps of thrusters, right? So minute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do 4. So that's 20 reps. On minute 6, do your burpees and then don't do a thruster, just rest. Okay, if you do that for 5 rounds,
Yeah.
you have 100 reps.
Yeah.
With rest, and you beat the cap
That's
of
right.
30 minutes, right? We thought on paper that looked great.
Yeah.
My dumbass, because you know me and math, I
remember that you fucked it up.
Fucking wrote out 4 rounds instead of 5.
Yeah.
So I swear I'll never forget being like 2.5 rounds in, going, I'm doing great right now. I can't believe I'm crushing this. I only have a round and a half left. And then I looked and I was like 20, 40, 60, 80.
You're like, wait a second.
I'm missing a fucking round.
I don't remember. Did you actually do the rest or no? You just said fuck it.
I kept trying to go with the 4, and then like on the 3rd or on the next one, because I was 2.5 in, so I finished the 3rd. On the 4th round, I got mentally broken.
You're just like, fuck it. That's what happens.
Fucked it up. I can't. There's no coming back now. Even though like you look back at it, you're like, you could still just keep doing the same thing. But like mentally, where I was crossing out my rounds, my rest, it was all done, and I got 85 reps in 30 minutes and quit.
That one's already so mentally taxing. That's why I think it's such a hard workout and a beneficial one.
Is that the one that Bob walked out on?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
There's a funny story. Is like Bob and I were working out next to each other. And then we were just going, and you're so focused on your numbers and reps, obviously, because burpees come and you don't want to lose count, the whole deal. And then Bob ducks out at like, I don't even know, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think he did halfway. I think he did 50 reps and went, I'm done.
But then the thing is, I didn't know he only did half.
Yeah, you thought he finished?
So I thought he finished, and it was just the gauge of like the whole rest of the time was a mind fuck for me, just thinking like, fuck, I suck.
How did Bob finish?
I suck.
Yeah.
Bob just you can't help it to
did
feel
Did
so
he do
behind.
135? He did?
He did too, I think. He had to, if I wouldn't have
so
let him
heavy,
get away.
dude.
So the whole time I'm thinking he's finished like 10 minutes before me. So I suffer through all of it, and then I go up to him like, dude, man, you killed it, dude. That was awesome. And he's like, no, I just stopped. I was so pissed.
So I liked...
I found out after the fact that he just left me. He didn't even say, hey, I did 50. He just walked out.
He left the gym too.
Yeah, he's walked outside and he didn't say anything, so I just thought he did his thing and killed it.
I'm not looking forward to it. It's probably going to ruin my night of sleep tonight. I told Leslie to message everyone and be like, get good sleep, hydrate all day, don't eat a junk lunch. You're all going to die.
If people have been coming to class, they should be fine. We've done so many thruster types of
I noticed
workouts to train for it.
Yeah.
So people should be good.
And then, today was like hot and it was just like a moving EMOM too, I noticed. So like every time there's an EMOM, you're like, oh, that's cool. I just row 15 cals and then I'll have rest. Yeah. And then all of a sudden round 5, you're like, there's no more rest. You're just like on this rower, or you're constantly moving and you black out a little bit. You just get into a rhythm. So I was like, oh, that's a good prep. And then I'm guessing Wednesday we'll do some kind of recovery stuff.
Probably haven't looked that far forward, but usually we expect people to do that workout, and if not, we want them to make it up. So like this whole week, if you miss calcium, you can't miss it.
That's what someone messaged me and said, are you going to do it Tuesday? Are you going to be there? And I was like, it doesn't matter. Like if I have to go Tuesday, or let's say I had a meeting or something, I was like, I would have to do it Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
This is one of those that nobody can get out of.
Nope.
So
it keeps people accountable.
I'm not looking forward to it.
And this is a perfect segue into our main topic today, because I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of acute issues or injuries that...
No, just...
Maybe not like injuries, but there's going to be some flare-ups of like hot points. Like, oh, my knees, my trap, my elbow.
It's soul crushing. You know what I mean? It's
like we can't fit your soul.
Like me and Monty, I remember just being like, we had our scheme down and we didn't do it. We're going to try it again tomorrow and probably maybe get closer, and just be like, it's just debilitating, like, to your brain and
everyone
ego.
Needs to try that. It's such a good test of willpower or mental toughness or mental fortitude, whatever you like to call it.
I'm going to have to get real angry tomorrow or something. But anyway, no, I think with any kind of, I think a bunch of half marathons just ended. The Triple Crown just ended.
Yep.
So we saw a lot of acute running injuries. Fix me before my race. Oh, update from last week. We called the lady that was like, I might bow out of my half marathon. She did her best half marathon time of the Triple Crown. She didn't beat her PR, but her PR was from like 7 years ago, like pre-kids.
Yeah.
But she went from like, I might have to bow out because this is so bad, to having her best Triple Crown, or her best half of the whole Triple Crown.
Nice.
So that was just with 2 treatments, and mostly, I mean, I didn't tell her like go home and rest. You know, I gave her like active exercises to do for, you know, kickbacks, RDL, lacrosse ball, Epsom salt baths.
What was the timeline in terms of this person seeing you before their race?
Thursday, and the race was Sunday.
Oh shit!
So she's on me definitely Thursday, like Saturday.
What we call like acute, or
because I saw her Thursday. Said if you really could come back on Saturday, it'd be great. And her knee was kind of buggy, so I was like, we could tape it if you want, and it won't throw you off. And we did. And pretty much what I heard from her was Epsom salt baths and like light jogging instead of going for longer runs was actually helping her. And then of course, like, the exercises were just not painful to do. So
that does bring up, so what I like, you know, working with your team, if it's that close to an event, like for me, I've been dealing with some knee stuff, right? And let's say I was the runner and my race is 4 days out or my event's 5 days out, like,
yeah,
obviously there shouldn't be the expectation of fixing a long-term problem.
Sure.
But it's nice to get a little bit of treatment and to get a little plan of action to prep, like, for the race or for the event, but it also gives you some validation when you get assessed.
Yeah.
So if I come in and you're like, oh, nothing looks structurally wrong, or I went into Melissa the other day and she's feeling like, yeah, it's like these muscles are guarded, but it doesn't look like there's some structural, you know, dysfunction or whatever. Like nothing seems torn or things like that.
Yeah.
So that could motivate you to kind of attack that race a little harder, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you just want to get checked out just in case. Because, I mean, what can you do 3 days or 4 days before a race?
Melissa and I actually had a guy, an older gentleman, who's not even competing for anything, but it was a golf injury, low back pain, been, you know, up to about a month ago. He was like, I'm feeling great. I'm playing golf, you know, full 18 rounds now. I played 4 days in a row. And then his lower back.
Older golfer?
Older.
That's nuts. That's
just
gnarly.
Picked it back up again recently, like a few months ago. I mean, he played a lot back in his day, but, you know, he was like, I really want to get back into it. 4 days in a row. And I was like, 18 on all of those? He's like, yeah. I'm like, God, man.
That's crazy. Some of you guys don't play golf. It's like, just go out to go hiking for 4.5 hours. That's an average about how long a golf round takes. So if you hike for 4.5 hours, 4 days in a row, I think that would fuck people up.
Anyway, yeah.
Let alone swinging a million times.
I said, no offense to you and your age, but I got younger, way healthier guys that could play 3 rounds in a weekend charity event or something, and they come in all wrecked.
If I played 1 round, because I haven't been playing
even 1 round for some guys, yeah,
like a weekend warrior, go out with buddies, I would assume my lower back,
most of my buddies
would be pretty tight.
A couple of my buddies that we play 1 round a weekend, they'll text the next day that they're super sore. So back to back to back to back. Anyway, and I'm just trying to get him to do his exercises correctly. He's doing them. He's stretching. He's rolling out. B finally gets in there. Melissa gets in there and digs him out. And he was not sore. He's like, I feel better, but still is going to go that route of like, I'm going to go talk to the pain management people.
Yeah.
And get new MRI, new X-ray, make sure everything's okay in there. And it's like, if you've had chronic issues, so for the younger people listening, it's like if you talk to someone in their 70s and they've been evaluated in that medical model for so many years. And I asked him recently, I'm like, okay, you just really sound like you need an MRI or an X-ray just for your own psyche, right?
Yep.
I was like, when's the last time you had it? He's like, 4.5 years ago. And I'm like, I've only been working out with them 4.5 months, So I'm not going to change his mindset in 4.5 months versus someone 4.5 years ago that had that legitimate MRI that told him you have all these issues and you need these injections and all this other stuff. And he's like, he wants to go back to get the imaging, and he's like, I really hope that they don't tell me I need another injection. And I was like, you could deny one. You don't have to do one.
Yeah, what's the purpose of getting this MRI? Just to be afraid of having to do the treatment?
Right.
It should just be more data on where you're at,
But traditional medical model is that, and he's just years of like not taking care of himself till recently, so it sucks. Melissa and I kind of are like, oh, did we lose him? And I'm like, check back in with me in a month, I guess. But her and I sit back and case manage and reflect and go, hey, you did your part, I did my part. At the end of the day, he has to choose, and it's hard to change old habits, But I said at the end of the day, if we got you back to playing 4 days a week again like that, you need a swing coach. It's that simple. Like, you need a coach. Because if the swing is what's wrecking him, and, exercises, that is his exercise. You know? He's not going to do anything else.
I just did a video comparison. We had a talk before this, and it's crazy because I'm working with this golfer, trying to go pro, younger golfer, and it's like all the amount of time and money and resources that went to all of his coaching is technique-based, which is how you swing the golf club, but it still has zero mechanics to it. So what you're referencing is you can help the guy with mechanics, like, hey, make sure your obliques are firing your glutes so you're not just rotating into your lower back erectors. But if he's still swinging all crazy, he's missing that side of it. Yeah. But most golfers these days, right, recreational, they don't have either. They just go to the range or watch some YouTube videos, so they don't get real coaching.
My chiro gave me these kickbacks and told me to lay out on a heating pad, and I've been using this tennis ball to roll out my hip. I feel great. Let me play 4 days in a row. And he's like, oh, shit, that didn't work. And I'm like, if you... I wouldn't ever recommend to play 4 days in a row, but if you had a swing coach fixing those mechanics of, like, showing him, too, on video, like, your hip doesn't move here at all, and you're slamming in your SI joint every time you rotate.
That goes for every sport, though. It's like you should probably learn how to deadlift. Yeah. Because if you just keep deadlifting, you're going to probably get stronger, but if you're not doing it right or using the right muscles or the right technique, you're going to have issues. And if that's the exercise of choice you like and you want to do it forever, you better go learn how to deadlift properly.
Yeah, and that's a good point that, you wanted to do the 500-pound deadlift, and I love deadlifting too, so a few of us followed you in that journey. But like you said, transitioning in terms of what our next goal should be, mine immediately was like, what do I suck at? Like, that's an immediate drawing board for me. What do I like to do? I like to power lift. And what do I suck at? Like, it's not like I want to go higher in deadlift. I would just like to maintain it for now. Yep. But I'm still lacking really badly on squatting. So it's like, I've had you video it. I've gone to FixFit. I have to constantly become a student of the squat, and I'm like watching videos now of like, man, that guy, his feet are really pointed out a lot. I always thought that would be bad. Yeah. But what you've kind of showed me is no matter where your hip angle or foot is positioned, I have to worry about what muscles are taking me up and down out of the squat. Yeah. So that's something I want to work on.
And it's what you were doing is what most people do with trying to integrate some FixFit stuff. It's that, you're powerlifting here and there a little bit within your CrossFit training. You pretty much just come to CrossFit and then, if you have time to lift or do some stuff.
Yeah.
But you aren't fully committed to, like, you're just spot shotting.
Yeah.
You're like, my hip flared up. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of these drills.
Yep.
And that's one of the ways to use FixFit is like that quick kind of like mobility tool,
Right.
People use the cross balls for that, and stretches and whatnot. And that's what you've been doing, which is fine. But you at least realize that that's as much as you're going to get from it. You're not going to fix your squat. You're not going to have like, squat's not going to be my weakness. You're not going to go from, what's your PR, let's say?
Shit. I think it was like around 345.
So let's say your squat, like, you're not going to go from 345 to 400.
Right.
Unless you fully commit to it and have that expectation or the realization, like, this is going to take X months.
And that's what I felt like. If it was a shaky 345 that could potentially, if I just kept working on that way, just more numbers,
more volume,
I was going to injure myself.
Because you're already feeling I call a lot of those things like controlled tests, right? The way you're training right now is symptoms already lighting up. The check engine light is the analogy I always use. Your hip has some pain after squatting.
Right.
And most people just kind of...
My lower back's stiff. My depth isn't good. Like, all these little tiny white flags, of like, hey, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. Your depth is questionable. Mm-hmm. You're not feeling comfortable in the bottom, at the bottom of the hole. It's like... Then freaking start working on it, And I did talk about on Brittany's episode that I was going to work on my hip mobility a little bit to give myself some better depth already. But still, the best test I could do for myself, because that's just like a quick little hack, right?
Yeah.
Just do some hip airplanes and roll out my TFL, just like you said. That's a quick little hack to give myself some more mobility and
range of motion.
Right, give myself a little more range in those hips.
But it's not going to help you in the squat.
No.
And that's what I posted today. We did a prep because I'm posting a lot of stuff and different ways to apply it. So today we were doing toes to bar and bar muscle up. So very intense on the shoulder. So then what we did was we did some activation drills before. We did like a band pull down, and we did a band kind of like almost a dip position. Yeah. To get everything firing, So that those things to me are going to give you a better, like, the goal is to do better at those movements. So you have to have the drills that lead you into those movements and those muscles that you use for the movements. Yeah. So like you're saying, if you just rolled out your TFL, did a lot of stretching and a couple drills, but those aren't the same exact muscles you're trying to activate for a squat.
So that's where yesterday in FixFit we're doing those sandbag carry squats. Mm-hmm. We did 7 reps every minute for 10 minutes, which is brutal, by the way. But those last 4 rounds is like you kept yelling at everybody. These are the rounds where your fucking mechanics are going to break down because the muscle
shifting to one side.
Now you're tired. Now you're going to have to really work on getting your arch of your foot to fire, right? Yeah. And I was like, I got that. My foot is on fire. My VMO is on fire. My hamstring was feeling it. My oblique was feeling it. But what was lacking still?
Yeah, and what I told you at the end?
Told me at the end, my right glute. Yep. And I'm not hip hinging. I'm way too vertical. I got all my lower half, which is strong, but right again at the hip, I can't hip hinge with the tension on my back, in front of me, loaded in front of me. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. So then I start thinking about that, and then today Leslie must have been at happy hour today with you, I'm guessing. Yeah. Because we're going over the lat pull down, banded lat pull down, and we're going over the dips as well. Both of them, though, she made us hinge on them. Yeah. And as soon as I hinge, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got my lat on. As soon as I add the hinge, lat's off, especially on my left side. My right side was a struggle, and I'm like, I think I got it. But then my left side, I'm like, I don't feel shit. Yeah. But as soon as we hinge, which involves the hip a little bit more, everything shuts off for me. So it's like I just cannot create any.
And that's where the squat issue you're having, right? Where if you go heavy or if you do more squatting, then you get that like hip pain. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just like now
Dude, I'll feel it anytime.
That's pretty much step one for all the FixFit stuff we do is really just assessing or assessments, right? Now you know you have a better understanding of what's potentially causing that hip impingement or pain, and you've done other drills to show you that it's not your VMO, it's not, you know, the arch in your foot, your inner hammy, it's the glute.
But notice, you know, when you first identified my hip pinch on video months ago, you didn't go, Ian, I need you to do steps A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
Right? I showed up on Sunday, and I'm like, this one thing is creating it, so let's fix it, the sandbag squats. Today, banded pull downs, I'm like, oh, there it is again. Like, I'm applying the foundation issue that I have to every single thing that's in class.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be personally prescribed to me by you to go, Ian, you're not hip hinging here. I need you to do these banded pull downs. I need you to do these sandbag squats. Like, I just can do it. I have to apply that mentality to pretty much everything I'm doing.
And that's how you, like, can kind of chop it up, whether it's like, is this kind of like a quick fix?
Right.
Or more of like a midterm or a long-term type of fix?
But I know through the deadlift that the proof was, oh, you're missing a VMO, you're missing your foot planted, you're missing your lat. And then being able to just work on that with everything and seeing your number go up with no pain, it was just a matter of time. You just had to hammer it like pretty much every single day. But there was no blueprint for me to do that.
No, it's just the idea is, that's why I said, like, you have a better idea of where the hip pain is coming from.
Right.
You don't ever know for sure, and that's why you have to just keep testing.
Right.
Kind testing of like is the sandbag 10-minute EMOM where you do 7 reps. Like, until you push yourself to the end ranges where your body starts failing, at least in a safer movement.
Right.
Like the sled pulls, things like that. Then that's when you start to learn more about what happens under intensity.
Yep.
Like the guy with that golf 4 rounds, like the first round or first couple of days, he might not have issues.
That's like you were still able to do the 4 rounds. It's not like the 4th round killed him or the 3rd round killed him and he went another round when he shouldn't have. He did all 4, waited a week, and went, oh shit, my body hates me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a good thing that you were able to do all of them. You didn't get injured there.
Yeah.
But
sometimes the volume too is a big thing that people don't think about.
Right.
So
they just go by how they feel all the time, you know, because it's like I did those sandbags, I did rope pulls yesterday and today. It's not like I came home still feeling really good. It's not like I had hip pain the whole time, but it's like you could still feel that block there of like, this is your weakness.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to get your mind around, Mark's not going to give me a blueprint customized for myself to fix this thing. All you're going to tell me is, like you said yesterday, you're so vertical, there's no way you can activate your glute. And I was like sitting there like, oh yeah, I didn't feel the glute at all, like I should have, you know, because I'm not hip hinging.
And that's where we brought up on the last one, it's like the only way to really start to apply this FixFit stuff or to get the fix is you have to take that little bit of information, that problem solving. It's like, okay, someone has helped or whatever.
Yeah.
To identify that glute doesn't fire, you have to be able to be a student, to be open to learn and figure out what that is. It's like you have your math homework now. You have this word problem, which is glute doesn't fire, hip pain.
Yeah.
And we've helped you kind of give you the quick like path on how to solve it, but you got to do the work.
Yep.
So that like we're trying to give you the formula, but not really just the quick answers, because the quick answers, you're not learning a damn thing.
Or it's like you said, I know you're like this too. I'll be on Instagram, YouTube, like watching the best squatters in the world after that. Not with an intent of like, I'm going to squat 700 pounds one day. It's like, no, those are the best guys in the world to do it. You know, the best mechanics. It's like you could watch them, maybe hear how they talk about it too. And you're like, oh shit. And that's becoming a student. That's doing homework and research.
It's like
R&D.
It's like writing an essay in your body paragraphs. You have to like, you know, find your sources.
Yeah.
To back up your thesis. You know?
Right.
So if I'm telling people it's not knees out.
Right.
In a squat, I have to provide enough proof for people to understand that, okay, look at all these Olympic lifters, look at all these power lifters. I have not seen one that is driving their knees out.
Right. But that's
when they're squatting. And you need that kind of checks and balance, because it's not like, again, we're just using it for more data and information to back our predictions.
But it took a long time of being a student of FixFit to learn, just because this guy's knees are out on a squat, because that's better for his hips.
Yeah.
He's not driving them out.
Yes.
Those are different things. And I didn't even get my head around that till very recently. I was like, oh, those guys' knees are way out. Oh, those guys' knees are coming forward. But, like, they're not shifting side to side. That's the big deal. There's no lateral or medial shift happening. Yeah. So I'm like, that guy's hips are freaking solid as he's going up and down.
It was hard for us, too, because we taught the Kelly Starrett way. We taught the CrossFit way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 9+ years of coaching Olympic lifting CrossFit. It's like that. Knees out, knees out. External rotation if you want to get nerdier about it. But then if you start to look and break it down more into the movement side of things and how people are actually performing these at the highest level, it doesn't match up.
Right.
And why we did that, or why it kind of started that way, is because group classes like CrossFit really took over and got really popular.
Yeah.
So guess what happens when you're teaching a big group of 10, 15 people like we were? You don't have time to assess each person.
Yeah.
And it's easy to go, all right, everyone, chest up, knees out, core tight, all these buzzwords. So it gives them enough, to go off of to work out, but it's definitely not optimal.
Yeah.
And if you do shit with the wrong mechanics, at some point it's going to break. That's why that honeymoon we always talk about, it's like the 3-year mark of CrossFitters. You probably have plateaued because you've exhausted moving.
Right.
With you can deadlift with the lower rounded lower back. Is it ideal? No, but you probably can withstand it at lighter weights.
Yeah.
So you're probably never PRing anymore because you tweak your back every time you deadlift, so you never go heavier.
Right.
And then you kind of just hover until you're like, you know what? I've exhausted my powerlifting career.
Right.
Bench isn't going up. Shoulder hurts. Back hurts. Squat and deadlift are not going up. So what's the point?
Right.
And I see the same thing probably in anything. You could be a runner. You could be a hiker.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we'll branch off on topics. Like, we almost did a running episode this week, and it's like, we don't want runners to go like, oh, what program is this for me to follow for my run? It's like, first of all, everybody's running mechanics are, like you said, will have a different issue with it, right? Yeah. Like the girl I saw was injured with a tendonitis in her hip, I guess. I mean, we're not even really sure because we didn't give it enough time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it just looks inflamed, I guess. Let's just rest it for a bit and do these mobile. Someone else could be coming in with just like a chronic, what do you always see? Outside knee pain or whatever. It's like
hip pain, Achilles,
right,
plantar.
So we'll have a whole episode going over,
let's say, plantar,
the common things that we see. But it's like every single one of those is going to need something different. Every single one of those might have an oblique problem versus I had 3 kids, so my core has always been weak. It's like but just going through the process of like how to self-diagnose yourself, I guess, self-assess yourself, is what we're trying to get through.
That brings up a point in terms of like getting the most out of your session. Mm-hmm. So, damn, your damn cats. I
know, she's right there, dude.
I'm allergic to cats, and Ian's got
FixFit Studios is cat friendly and dog friendly.
And I am.
You want a Benadryl or something?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So
you sound fine.
If we work with someone, just imagine you're coming for one session, regardless of the time, but they have no idea what an oblique is, what idea a piston is, what a kickback, or any of the stuff that they're just foreign. We're gonna waste a lot of time having to educate you.
Right.
We want to get to the fixing part, the application part. It's like going to school, right?
Right.
You're like, hey, I want to learn how to write an essay or whatever, but then you're getting someone that doesn't even know how to like spell words or the alphabet, right? It's like, okay, this is the alphabet, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with all the free content and the podcast, is that we want people to get all the basic shit out of the way that you can get just by following along. Because now I'm assessing people like that I've never met, and they just hit me up and they've been following along. And then it's going to be great because they know what we're trying to accomplish right away. I don't have to convince them or tell them that, like, hey, knees out, like in a one-on-one session, right? It's like you could listen to this and you would have already started the wheels turning in your head. And then you can go look at all the Olympic weightlifters, powerlifters, strongman. You're like, you're right. The knees are kind of tracking in the instep of the arch.
Yeah.
Right? And then so we don't have to go over that. So if you come meet with me for a one-on-one to fix something, we've bypassed all that, we wouldn't waste so much time. We'd have more time to actually do more assessing. And so it's just like that brings up
jump right into the fun stuff rather than.
And those that don't spend the time to do that, it's never going to work because they're going to come for the quick fix, and we've both treated so many people for that. So they're going to come in and be like, my hip hurts, I need something right away. And then I can, without even educating them because there's no time, it's just like, do this piston, focus on these muscles, and then they're like, cool, it helped. And then they're going to rely on us again and be like, hey, my elbow hurts now. And then they're not gonna want to learn or listen, so they're gonna like, give me what drill?
Rinse, repeat.
What drills can I do?
Yeah.
And we can keep doing that, but that isn't the mission. That isn't the goal. There's not enough time for us to just kind of keep spot shotting and go, hey, my elbow hurts. What can you do for me now? It's like we can assess and give the right exercises, or what we think are the right exercises, but we rather them learn what caused it, how they should fix it, and then it kind of skips out the middleman where we don't even have to do that anymore.
I think what's interesting is that we just constantly are shifting around trying to figure out different ways to say it, you know, because it hits different audiences, right? So if you call it a warm-up, someone might be like, I'm down to try that warm-up. If I call it an accessory for my bodybuilder patient, I might do an accessory, yeah. But if you say, like, I need you to do FixFit Block A, they're like, all right, like, how much is it?
Yeah, or
who's done it?
What the hell's FixFit? Who's your client list? Or
so you're constantly shifting it around, but
it's so true because in Happy Hour, DJ just posted. He reposted the drills we were just talking about, band pull downs and the dip one, because Happy Hour is notorious for not warming up because they're like the crash test dummy of our programming for CrossFit Sun. So they put up a crazy workout. They sit around. They don't warm up at all, and they'll set up a bar. It could be like 185 clean and jerks or whatever without any warm up.
And you're like, we're not doing, just because it's not a 15-minute EMOM programmed warm up.
Because they don't like to warm up, which I get, like you said, but now it's like we labeled it in our gym like WOD prep.
Yeah, see?
It's not a warm up. It's not FixFit.
Now people want it.
It's just
now
WOD
I'll
prep.
try. Right.
And people are weird
it's like psychology. That. There's a lot of psychology to everything in health and fitness, but I'll give you a really good example. I walked by a gym, not going to name it, but I walked by a gym and the doors were open and I saw them getting ready for some kind of shoulder day because they were all holding onto the bands, like a band up on the rig and
it's probably a boulder stretch. Is that like where they're like here?
Right. So I look at it and I'm like, oh, are they going to be doing like some kind of pull down with that thing? And then all of a sudden I hear a coach go, all right, we're going to just really let that shoulder distract out, and then we're going to lean our bodies away from it, get that good stretch throughout this whole upper torso. And I'm like,
that's Kelly Starrett shit. We used to do the boulder stretch.
Is that what it is?
Every shoulder day.
I just heard that and went, cool. So we're going to loosen up everyone's shoulders after, it's 6 o'clock at night. So everyone's got their fresh off of sitting all day at work.
Is this our gym? Because now it sounds like circuit like 3 years ago. Because I'm not ashamed. This is what we used to do.
No. This is another gym.
We used to do that every time we had some sort of lifting workout. We would do the boulder stretch because that's what we did. We practiced mobility WOD principles.
It's funny. I saw that early last week and just didn't think anything of it. But I was like, I should tell Mark about that story. But then it popped in my head again today because I'm like, here's Leslie now coaching with everybody's got bands hanging and people are grabbing it thinking like, oh, maybe we're gonna do a boulder stretch or that. No, she's going over hip hinging and getting your lats to fire. She's going over turn around, we're gonna do dips now with a pec and lat firing. And I'm like, how different are those two things? It's unbelievably total different concepts. She's prepping for handstand push-ups. These people are stretching and mobilizing everything for that false sense of security that they have flexibility. I was just like,
we used to do that too. It's like,
sure, yeah.
We would do like, hey, bring your arms straight up.
Yeah.
And then we do a hip capsule, which is putting.
I remember the hip capsule one.
You put a dumbbell on your hand, you're laying flat down.
That thing felt great.
And then all of a sudden you retest and you put both hands up, and one arm is like 5 inches further back.
Right.
So you're like, oh my gosh.
There's a hip one too.
There's the hip capsule, and you're like, look how far I could push my knees, or hopefully,
Yeah.
So it just gives you that false sense.
And I just thought like, I feel like, because this has been a 4-year journey now, I was like, I feel like they're 3 or 4 years behind. Really, like not even just saying
I
that
agree.
What your gym's doing is like gonna have to be the gold standard, but it's just like I wanted to ask that coach, like, why would you give that?
And to be fair, like it's they're at where they're at on their timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, like today's post, right? I'm putting a lot more effort into explaining the videos they put up. And to me, I just wrote, it's a better warm up.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to do something that's so shoulder intensive, bar muscle ups, which is a lot of pulling and that deep dip, toes to bar, which is swinging on the shoulders, I could do the traditional PVC pass-throughs, arm circles, inchworms, shoulder stretches.
Yeah.
And then you can still go and do a push-up the wrong way.
Yeah.
All in your neck, in your traps.
So
what was the point, right? So I'm not arguing that, like, saying, oh, our gym's more evolved or better, but you should at least start to ask those questions. And that's the idea with FixFit is, like you said, you shouldn't go up to that coach and be like, well, why the hell are you doing that? We want to drive the message out. We should be questioning everything, right?
Right.
If you're telling me to do even this, I even listed, because everyone's big in the CrossFit world to do crossover symmetry. Mm-hmm. Those bands, and they're doing face pulls, all this other shit, right? And so, you might work on all those little, it's more like PT in my opinion, where you work the stabilizers, your rotator cuff muscles.
Rotator cuff, yeah.
So my rotator cuff muscles are really strong, and I'm like doing crossover symmetries 3 to 5 times a week. So I'm really good at those face pulls. And then you go to snatch with the wrong mechanics. You go to do a toes to bar and you're not using any pec. That crossover symmetry didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Didn't do shit. So it's like, are you just doing a lot of warm-up drills and you're just going to get better at warm-up drills?
Yeah.
Or you should be doing, in my opinion, a drill that is going to be directly applicable to the movement you're using right away. That's why the piston is pretty much like a one-legged squat.
Yeah.
You're checking off all the muscles you're using for a squat, and then you squat right away.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I just thought what was the most interesting in that whole thing was just that Leslie wasn't just told, you're going to show it this way, right? She's been testing that kind of stuff on herself for so long and showing so many clients and members that kind of mentality so long. I was like, I think it's awesome that Leslie's there, you're not even there, and she's showing that hip hinge into the lat. And I was like, that's so far advanced now that she knew to, like, I got to add that in, right? And it's like, it's not even like that was on there. It just said lat pull downs. And everybody was like, or it said lat pull or banded pull ups.
Yeah.
Everyone was looking at the bands thinking like they were going to stand in the band and just do pull-ups. And just actually do pull ups. Yeah. And they're like, these bands are kind of small. And then Leslie said, no, it's for this, So like Leslie saw that and had to interpret it her own way.
Yeah. And
coach it how she wanted to for the most, FixFit benefits of it.
The behind the scenes, it was super. That is the goal. Is like we realized earlier this year that by 2020 we want to be fully FixFit integrated.
Right.
It's like the thing is we don't want to be a FixFit gym, and that's a big argument discussion, right? Because when you start doing things with the name on it, but like think back to most gyms accepted the Kelly Starrett mobility WOD stuff. Mm-hmm. So they have set up where it's like foam rollers, lacrosse balls, different areas to do all the mobility. But no one ever called, like, let's say CrossFit Sun, a mobility WOD CrossFit Sun. Mm-hmm. It's just like a new update, to technique and how you coach. So the goal for us this year is just learning how to fully integrate it to the programming. And that's where, it's good to hear that Leslie's able to kind of run it that way this early because we still have time. But we do go over it ourselves. Like we met about programming with DJ Ernest and Leslie, and just to kind of go over what the drills are. Then we tag it to the videos that I post on Instagram in our programming. So these drills we've tested before on my Sundays or Saturdays. And then Leslie can go back to the Instagram to kind of see how I would coach those movements as well. So it's like we're doing everything we can to give her the tools to coach it the right way. But like you said, she wouldn't be able to articulate it if she's never felt it herself.
Exactly. She's not saying you guys need to do step A for B and that will equal C. It just like flowed out so well where I was just like, this is just, she totally understood like the whole concept of what those exercises were meant to do.
And is she going to do them perfect? No. Am I going to do any of them perfect? Never. And the idea is, like you said, you have to be a student And all the stuff that I'm posting, I'm still using it to kind of like help our coaches, but that shit's on my Instagram
That's what's
page.
so funny.
And if you watch every single video that I've posted, read every article, but you haven't, or post, but you have not tried any of them,
right,
you're still back at trying to figure out the alphabet, bro. Like, there's no way. You have to go through the trial and error. Oh my gosh, this piston's hard, or this, I can't turn this on. Yeah. You have to actually go through it to actually learn how to use it.
That's what's so funny is that she was like, bring your left shoulder down while I was doing my hinged lat pull downs. And she's like, it looks good. And I got up after I was done. I was like, I didn't feel shit. I actually felt everything in my right. And she was like, because your right's not turning off or something. And I'm like, I don't know. But I know that I'm glad it looked good. But I was like, I still was enough of a student to be like, that side's an issue. I wasn't just like, thanks, coach. I'm going to not do these ever again because I got it now. You know, in my head, I was like, that's the problem. I got to fucking work on that.
We, as coaches, we're trying so hard because we're trying not to use joint cues, right?
Right.
But we have to because it's easier to just quickly articulate, hey, your shoulder down.
Because I didn't feel like my shoulder was floating up into my trap as I was doing it. But she could see that, and she was like, bring that shoulder down before you do the lat. And I'm like, okay, got it.
Nothing.
And I'm like, I mean, when I was done, I was like, I don't feel trap pain, and maybe the lat was working a little bit. But on the right side, I was just like, holy shit.
And see how cool that is? It's like Leslie's telling you, because she spots a visual cue, a visual issue. So she's giving you a verbal cue, sorry.
Right.
And then so she's like, oh shit, your shoulder's shrugged up. So she's telling you what your coach is supposed to, like, pull the shoulder down.
Right.
So now you're in this position, this shape that looks like it's the right thing.
Yeah.
But both of you guys aren't trying to accomplish that.
Right.
Because then you're like, you did what she told you. She said it looks good. And you're like, I don't feel anything. And she doesn't come around being like, you know, hey, it looks great, just keep going.
Right.
She's like, well, maybe this side's not working. Like, you guys are both still trying to figure out that problem.
Because I got up and I told her my right side felt that the whole time because it was so pumped because I just got done doing the right.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it probably just never turned off then, huh? And I was like, yeah, because I pumped the right one really well, and then that's all I could feel on my left.
Yep.
And I was like, but I know the left side's a problem. She was like, it looked a lot better when I gave you that cue, but obviously
it's still not there yet.
Obviously the left lat is a problem. I'm like, yeah, totally. I'm gonna keep working on it.
And I still, you know, it's a journey, and I learned this from Bob 2 Sundays ago, and we trying to integrate some of this on a bigger scale, which is programming for 130 people. You know, it's not. I was like saying maybe we should do these band pull downs, pull up things like every 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But Bob reminded me again, it's not the programming, because he's like, if you just program it, they're just gonna do it. Mm-hmm. But it's not about doing X reps or X sets. It's like you have to educate the people and keep sharing the message that when you're doing like you did, even though the coach says it looks right and you're like, okay, you both know that, especially you, the one doing it, was like, I feel nothing in the teres or the lat or the pec,
right,
or something. So you have to be able to just say, okay.
But I think that's so funny. Here's where psychology comes into FixFit so much. If I would have listened to Leslie and said, great job, chances of me going back to that exercise this week, very slim. I did it exactly right. She said I did. I nailed it, crushed that 3 sets of 15. What else can I do? Mm-hmm. But because I got up and had a conversation with her after going, I didn't feel shit, this and that. I'm like, I'm already thinking tomorrow I'm going to try that shit again and see if I can get it to turn on.
Or even the movements after the warm-up, right? This is the WOD prep. Like, let's say there are pull-ups or lat pull-downs or something. You're going to try to apply that to the movements itself.
Any kind of warm-up tomorrow, I'll be like, is my left lat on? Yeah. We did overhead ball walking on my left side.
Yeah.
And a 45-pound slam ball. I'm walking over my head with just my left arm. And I turned to my left to because I went 30 or 15 feet, turned around to go back 15 feet. I turned around and I'm like, holy shit, almost dropped the ball. On every round, I almost dropped it. And I was like, my right side, no issue. Stability the whole way back and forth. Left side, all wonky again. So I was trying to feel my lat the whole time there too.
Yep.
So it's if I would have just checked off the box, I did my 3 sets of 15. Okay, Leslie, what next? What do you want me to do tomorrow? Lat pull downs? Okay, check. What next? You should be fixing it, right? Yep. But it's I had to know to tell her. I still didn't I defeated the purpose of what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I need that left lat on, I can't.
You're trying to, which is what most people do with like exercise, I guess, is you're trying to just check the boxes to complete it. It's like a pass-fail.
Yeah.
Everything's pass-fail. I
made the coach happy. I'm good.
I did 15 reps of this. The bar hit my chest on a bench. It went full lockout. Done. It's like we got to get a little more evolved in the way we think. We can't do that anymore.
Can you imagine a competitive powerlifter that got 3 white lights on all, 6 or 9 lifts and went like, I mean, it's only up from here, right? I hit a couple PRs. I won my competition.
Yep.
I don't need to be told what to do.
And that's the problem with catching it early. For a long time, I'm guessing it's going to take a while for people to adjust, because what happens is people are going to keep PRing in whatever they do. They're going to keep running faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to keep lifting more, and then they're going to get hurt.
Yep.
Because they're not going to be ready to learn or wanting to slow down until that happens.
Right.
So then ideally you can kind of catch these injuries early, and that's what I kind of like to nerd out on, and especially early on in this FixFit journey. It was like I looked at a lot of the games athletes' injuries, or even powerlifters, and then like they had a shoulder surgery or neck surgery, and then I go back Instagram or videos that they made and see how they move. So I'm like doing a virtual assessment on my own, and it's like you could pair it up. It's like, oh my gosh, look how high that right elbow is compared to the left in that front rack.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no lat, it's all upper trap, and then lo and behold, neck surgery or shoulder surgery on that side.
Yep.
Like I want this to be something where you can just do as an assessment just to make sure that you avoid injuries.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's going to take a while, because most people will listen until they're hurt.
Do you always want people to use the podcast or all the content to follow? It's like it's only 2 30-minute drives a day, or a few 10-minute walks a day of listening to this, or watching your Instagram, like YouTube, like just obsess over it a little bit. I tell my patients that all the time. I'm like, I'm giving you this homework thing, but I want you to obsess about it over it, like for the next week at least. Don't think you have to be obsessed for the rest of your life on just this one thing.
Yeah.
But really think about it for like this whole week and come back and let me know. I heard that.
The fly was on the mic and I picked it up. That's awesome.
I was like, damn, this is just high def right now. But no, yeah, I was like thinking to myself that, what was I saying?
Well, it's like you have to obsess over it. But I think if we labeled FixFit like a sport, it'd be better, because like you have to get better at it.
Yeah.
And we want you to get better at using FixFit.
Right.
So you have to obsess about anything to get better at it.
But if you obsess over it enough to be like, hey, in 1 week I noticed how much I use my right upper trap in everything. Yeah. Driving, cooking, cutting, everything. Like I was cutting my steak and I felt my right trap on it. I'll be like, that's a freaking huge win right there, man. Let's work off that.
Movement is like you have to move to live.
Right.
You're just perfecting or getting better, not perfecting. You're getting better at moving.
Right.
You have to get your ass up out of the seat and walk around. You have to be able to sit at work for 8 hours, sit in the car for as long as you commute. There's a better choice to do that.
Right.
And again, I go over that with people when they're really fucked up. When they're really fucked up, then it's like not you should try, you have to.
Yeah.
Because I tell them, like, you come and do X drills, you work out an hour a day. That doesn't change the fact that you're sitting like shit for 8 hours.
Right.
Because I'm honest with them. It's like, you can do FixFit as an hour every single day, but you're still sitting like shit for 8 hours. We can't. The balance is way off.
So I love that. It's like you should feel like you got to win in identifying one imbalance that you have, but there's plenty more.
Yeah.
There's plenty more, and just don't think of it as like, oh, this will never end. You should think of it as a challenge, and it should be motivating to keep yourself going all the time, right?
I get that. It's like people can obsess over FixFit. We've seen a few people go off the deep end with it.
Yeah.
But it is an ongoing journey. The reason why it's ongoing, and you should expect it to be ongoing, is because you're going to be moving the rest of your life.
Yep.
So if I'm doing more deadlifting, a couple months ago, I'm going to have things that pop up with doing more deadlifts. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to run more. Now I got to deal with more running issues. It's not like oh my God, this is hopeless. I keep getting injured now. How come I was able to do this when I was in my 20s and stuff? It's like, stop going down that route. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
But when you acknowledge the intent, the goals, it's like, I'm choosing to run into my late 30s, whatever, starting to run more, it's like I'm going to have wear and tear issues. I'm not as springy or young as before, where I could, back then, I hate that thing where people go, well, back then it never hurt before.
Right.
You can drive your car that's brand new off the lot like shit, I bet, with the handbrake on, just beat the fuck out of it and it'll still run.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're not fucking, we're not that young anymore.
Yeah.
Got some miles on our...
I just don't like people looking at anything like a death sentence for themselves, but
it's also like, once something happens, I hate that they feel like they've wasted all of their time practicing.
Right.
They're like, gosh, my other knee hurts now. I thought,
I thought
all this FixFit stuff for my kickback should help. It's like, well, what have you been doing? Oh, I picked up this new hobby. It's like, there's 2 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like my shoulder is feeling better. I was talking to someone this morning, and the shoulder's feeling better, obviously, because I haven't got another follow-up or whatever. But it's like, dude, my shoulder's been killing me lately. It's like 0 rest, hitting the workouts hard as hell still.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to acknowledge that, like, okay, the drills have helped me not have shoulder pain in working out.
Yeah.
But since the shoulder pain's gone, how much drills are you doing? How many drills are you doing versus how hard are you pushing it?
Right.
And that's the conversation I had.
Yeah.
That's like, this is what you're gonna have to learn. It's like, if you want to party hard and like work out hard as fuck for 5 days.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do X drills to buffer that, right?
Yep.
It's different from someone that, even like, let's say, someone that does yoga once a week, probably won't have a lot of issues.
Right.
Now you got someone that's a yoga instructor teaching like 3 yoga classes a day, holding all those poses. She's going to be fucked, or he's going to be fucked. But they got to do X amount more than that one day, 1 day yoga person.
That's where it's like, if we program you anything, take it in a small dosage and go question it, right? Like, oh, okay, now I feel better here, like you're saying. My shoulder stability feels a little bit better, but now it's my knee. What else can I do for it? If you ask what else can I start looking for,
then the learning never stops.
Right. We're willing to help that. Like, what else can I look at in my knee? Not, hey, can you fix my knee now? It's like, no, what else in this chain of movement do you think is connected to my knee? And then if you start asking like actual questions down the line, do you think it's my left inner hammy that's causing this? It's like, damn, now you're really far advanced.
Yeah.
So that's where we're trying to get people to, and not be so reliant on a program, but also start, you can start programming for yourself. Like, damn, those pistons really work. Maybe I should do those more often. I had someone recently tell me, I gave them some RDLs and pistons, and they were like, oh, I've been doing those every day at work because, and he said, quote, because there's no weight. And I was just like, oh shit, like I told him that, but I didn't really even think of how it should have been processed.
Yeah.
But he's not at the gym putting weight on his spine or his back or in his hands.
Yep.
Body weight. So in his head, he was just like, this is body weight. I could do this every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, actually, you definitely can.
Yep. And
he has been. And he's like, I'm feeling so much more stability in this hip. My low back's still tight, but it's better in terms of pain. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. More people should be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's just,
I didn't program it every day,
No.
But I was like, you technically can, and he ran with it.
There is no program because you're supposed to make your own, like you apply it however you should or you want.
Right.
Due to your timing, due to how much wear and tear your body gets. Again, if you're trying to, buffer all the like low back pain you get at work, you're going to have to put some work in there to figure out why.
I just thought it was funny that I think I did say that. Like, technically, you do this every day. No problem. And then, like, people could take that literal and go, well, I'm going to do it every freaking day.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was a body weight thing, It's kind of like someone that's like, I love yoga. It feels great. Should I do more of it? I'm like, always say, yes. I mean, you have the time.
Yeah.
You have the...
Because it's really hard to
budget, like,
overdo it, right? It's like walking's good for you.
Should I go for more walks throughout my day? Should I stretch more? I'm like, fuck yeah, you should. I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
But I'm like, chances of you actually doing it aren't high. But when they turn to us, they question, like, those are the questions that we want to start minimizing. It's like, you should be asking about your hamstring strength rather than your flexibility.
So true.
Right?
The basic stuff. I hope we're, getting to the point where people can start, if you're listening, start sharing this shit, right?
Right.
I want people to know that, like, oh man, so-and-so said I have bad flexibility. Okay, and then I had to go down that route. What does that mean? I was like, my hamstrings are tight. Okay, why are they tight? It's like the same thing over and over again. It's like, that means they're taking time out of our day to help others that are on to that next step,
right?
Or their current situation.
That's just what I think is so funny. It's like,
because like there's some shit that we need to spend extra time on because it's like we still don't know.
Yeah.
Like, damn, we've been trying all this stuff, but you still have some sort of weird dysfunction in your knee. But let's figure out a way where we can still work out at intensity, this and that. But if we spend that same hour having to explain to so-and-so a simple concept like, hey, you should fire the muscles for a push-up instead of putting where the joint position, elbows in, elbows out. Like, that stuff's already in the podcast, in the daily videos.
It's such a funny point because I just made that post about those kickboxing trainers I found. There's two in particular that were, I won't name drop, but like 2 people there in particular out of the 6 that just kept asking good questions. And it wasn't like, hey, should they foam roll instead of lacrosse ball? Like, it wasn't that.
Like a quick answer.
Right. Like, I want a quick question, quick answer so I could give a quick solution to a quick problem.
Yeah.
Hey, my patient says. It was like very specific questions off of a client too. Like, you could think you could tell in their head, they're like, client A comes in all the time and complains about her hip. Should I have her do this scenario, like A, B, C? Like,
yeah, because they're learning how to apply it,
In a 1-hour seminar.
Yeah.
For this guy in particular, this coach asked, should I have Susan do this workout, do this as a cool down, do this at home, and then come back?
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay for her? And then I was like, yes, that's great. Like, you just solved that person. That's awesome. And then but then, the client B comes in injured, wrecked. Do you think I should have her do this, and this, and not work out, and then do some recovery, blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yeah, that sounded good too. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Like, this is what we're trying to do. Provide you all the tools. Correct. You're the one that's supposed to, coordinate.
The tools is what we're trying to do. Is like, we're still building it from ground up. That's why we don't have the ideal templates and stuff, because we're learning as we go too.
I mean, it was great. I trying to remember the whole scenario, but it was happening. I was throwing out so much content so fast that he brought me back to center real quick when he was like, Susan comes in with a tight lower back. Should I have her, instead of this, should I have her hop on a foam roller to kind of loosen up her hips? And I'm like, okay, like, here he goes with this.
Yep.
Foam roller is going to fix her tight hips. And then he's like, and then on these dynamic warm-ups, it says right here, plank. And he's all, but I'm going to have her do it from her knees. And then on the next one, it says mountain climbers, but I'm going to have her go on her back and do bridges instead.
Yeah.
To do a hip opener.
Yeah, like a hip up, a glute bridge.
Glute bridge instead. But I was calling them hip openers. Mm-hmm. He's like, can I have her just do that bridging hip openers? And then on this other one, it says, like, he was picking out exercises because they're all pre-programmed. And he's picking out exercises in there where he was like, I think this is when they would use their hip flexor too much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have her do these other stability things that you're talking about. Obliques, side plank, that kind of stuff. And I was like, yes, that's perfect. Like, you just problem solved with FixFit, like, without even knowing it, within an hour.
And I think that's exactly what we were just saying, is like, working with those people, it's more efficient with our time, because then he's gonna, now maybe every class he coaches, he gets to help that many more people.
That's right. Exactly what I said at the end of the seminar. I was like, I will drop everything to help people like you guys, because you're going to have 25 members tomorrow that you can possibly help with this.
Yeah.
That's the message that we're trying to push out there, right?
For sure. Just because we don't want them to not kickbox anymore because they love it, or they get some sort of generic response for the low back pain. And stop doing it. Stretch out.
And you know where you hook them to? That's their job, right? So I'm like, what's the number one thing that you guys have an issue with? Because you guys are all great in retention. And what is the number one? And I said, what is your number one thing besides cost? Injury.
Yeah.
I was like, how much does it cost? And then if they're actually in and paying that, the next thing is, what's the number one thing taking people out? I was like, how many of them are their doctors prescribing them rest? Stay away from kickboxing. I think you should just go home and take these painkillers and just relax because you have tendonitis and ice it. And they all, like, a handful of them are just laughing. And I'm like,
that's what you get. That's what
I was like, I'm just throwing out what I hear all the time. I guarantee you guys are hearing the same shit as me. And they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, yes. So you should really, really invest in stuff like this, recovery and stability drills, because it's like,
you're trying to keep people.
Yeah. You want to keep them, right?
Yep.
And I was like, you want Susan to still come in with her tight back and try these things out. And who knows, maybe it loosens her back.
Yeah, maybe she can kick harder. Maybe she can now, do more, extend her kickboxing career 3 to 5 years or whatever it might be. That's the thing with, even for like you listening, whoever's listening, even ourselves, it's like that's what happens. You either get hurt or you stop improving, and then you get, you're kind of forced to make that decision, and everyone talks about something that's a little more aggressive or active when they did in the past. Like, oh, I used to play basketball, but it just wasn't worth it anymore.
Right.
I kept getting knee pain. I used to run all the time, but it wasn't worth it. It's like, that's sad. That means you're settling. You're being forced to quit because people tell you to stop doing it.
Right.
What the fuck is that?
It's so funny that runner, I said, you call us next week and tell us how your race went. And I said, you're going to PR and then you're going to retire. I was joking.
Yeah.
And she goes, tell him I'm not retiring.
Yeah.
And I started laughing, and I was like, did she laugh? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right, good. She knew I was joking, but she meant like, I was like, these half marathons are just fucking bullshit, dude. Like, just go do 5Ks if you still like running.
Yeah.
Do a 10K. I think 10K is perfect. It still challenges a runner, but it doesn't necessarily.
The wear and tear.
The wear and tear isn't as bad with.
The thing about running, man, I met a couple people lately. It's like, I think you can get to the point where you're running halves and no problem and pain, but again, it's like most people can probably run a mile to 3 miles of 5K okay.
Yeah.
But when you're going to 13 miles, if you want to party that hard, that's always, you got to party that hard.
Yeah.
You got it.
You're signing up.
I got that shit from Julian. He says, if you want to party, like, you have to do the work or whatever.
I partied hard last night, woke up with a nice little headache, and I went.
I always say, now the new thing I've been saying is, like, you have to, if you want to take the test, you have to do the homework.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say your test is
Good
a
point.
strength test, like a deadlift test, a 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Your test is a half marathon. It's a long run. Did you do the appropriate homework for you to do well at the test?
Right.
And in terms of movement, if it's just a regular test, like on paper, you just fail and no harm done. If you go for a 1 rep max deadlift and you're trying to pull something crazy you've never pulled before, you didn't do any homework. Well, if you fail, a lot worse things can go on. It's like you can blow your back out. You can run and blow out your knee or your Achilles. So I always tell people, if you want to party, if you want to go for something extreme like a marathon, like that's your degree or master's or something, you have a lot of fucking homework to do.
Yeah.
So you have to have that realization of, like, are you in season? Are you trying to do a spot shot?
Right.
Like we talked about that right before this. Is like, if someone's running like a half marathon or any type of race, and you're coming to us maybe 4 weeks or less out, there's really not that much we can do. We can kind of spot shot and manage here.
Right.
But the real work is your off season.
Yeah.
Then we have a real chance to fix something.
And that's as funny as
3 months out. If we have a year out, like, let's get to work. But
I just told that lady, like, maybe downgrade to 5Ks, 10Ks. But I was like, that's when
on your shit.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I was like, you shouldn't rule out. I was joking about retiring from half marathons forever.
Yeah.
But I was like, you're definitely, if you run this Triple Crown again next year without working on it in between with 5s and 10s,
You're fucked.
That's what I was trying to get at. Will she do it?
You never know. But
Never
that's
know.
What we're trying to do.
Threw it out there.
And
It's
same
all
with
for you to
CrossFit,
decide.
right? We do CrossFit Total. We do 1 rep maxes and stuff. But what I've done with the deadlift is I committed 3 months of training for it,
Right.
And that's a lot of commitment. But I did the homework. My back didn't blow up. Everything felt great. I hit my goal.
Boom.
That's all it is,
That's all we are, is just PR setters here. No big deal.
I hope so.
Random thought. I think we should, for anybody that made it this far to the end, I think next week we should do...
Jana. Hi, Jana.
Hi, Jana. I think we'll post up this week a Q&A thing on multiple accounts. We'll do my Ian Cook DC, Cook
like
Cairo, Mark's on FixFit. Shit, maybe even the CrossFit Sun page.
Sure.
All Q&A, all across the board. We'll pick 5 to 10. Because chances are there's going to be like, we would love to do 10. But if you get like 5 good ones.
Like topics, really, right?
Go
like
off
global,
on. Yeah.
Like if it's a topic about running, but we can...
Might get multiples.
Which we can kind of,
Yeah.
clump them together with the same idea.
I'll pick a good day this week to post that out, probably like a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then we can record it over the weekend.
Yeah, so if you're one of the few still listening, we can answer all your questions.
Because I think we just did 2 good weeks of just overall, what are we doing with FixFit? What are we doing with programming? Now what? What topics do you want to hear? What topics do you want us to cover? We'll do a Q&A quick, and then we'll start pumping out more content in September with like runners or knee pain or something.
Send us your questions.
Sounds good? I'm hot as hell. I haven't stopped sweating since noon class, so. All right, man. Good times.